guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Ending Explained. I have had a few people reach out and ask me to do an Ending Explained for men, and it also meant that I would have to re-watch the film, so I had to re-watch it again. Now, the first time I watched it, I didn't like the film. I thought the film was beautifully acted, especially by Jessie Buckley. But for me, it just wasn't my type of film. I do love the ambiguous endings. I love the endings that you have to think for yourself. So this is obviously a really good example of an ending explained that you can really only go by what you think is the end of the film and what the explanation is. So when it comes to ending explained for this is just my interpretation, guys. So if you are watching this video looking for an explanation, hopefully this explanation does it for you, but it doesn't mean it is the definitive explanation. Luckily, the director Alex Garland didn't reveal what the ending actually meant, so I think everyone has a right to their opinion on the ending of this film, and this is just mine. Straight off the bat, the title shows that this film was never going to be subtle. Our main character Harper is trapped in an abusive relationship with her husband James. From what we see throughout the movie, it's a mentally abusive relationship that she has. Harper wants a divorce from James, and in turn, James says that he's going to kill himself if she goes through with the divorce, but she does go through with the divorce and he ends up killing himself, which makes us think, and she thinks that she feels guilty because of what he done, because he did tell her in advance that he was going to kill himself if she wants a divorce. Due to her experience of what happened and the trauma that she went through, she just can't trust men anymore. After this event, she travels to a countryside house just to try and clear her head, and she's befriended by the owner called Jeffrey. Jeffrey is played by Rory Kinnear, and we find out quite quickly that Rory Kinnear plays all the men in this little countryside. This is where the not so subtle metaphors come into play. The casting choice plays on the all men are the same trope. We get all types of Jeffreys throughout this film. You've got the chivalry type of men in the movie, you've got the men who hate the women, you get the men who stalk the women, you've got all types of these Jeffrey type characters throughout the film. As some of these men start chasing Harper and attack Harper, they sustain injuries very similar, if not the exact same, as the injuries sustained to James when he killed himself. This all leads up to the climax of the movie. Ultimately, the biggest metaphor would be the ending. It shows that not only are all the men the same, but the man giving birth to himself over and over again symbolises that this carries on to their children and their children's children. The cycle then continues on and continues on. They're given metaphorical birth to the next generation of bad men. Finally, the last one born was her husband, James. This gives us a look into Harper's mind. Are we seeing what she's feeling? Is she feeling the guilt of what happened to James? Or is she seeing it all, having a metaphorical battle against the guilt that shouldn't be there, this being her way to defeat it? Ultimately, the film focuses on a very one-sided toxic masculinity approach. In Harper's case, with everything that she's went through, this is pretty much justifiable. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't like the movie the first time I seen it. I still have a similar stance to it because of how on the nose that the film is. It does aim in one direction, and it's toxic masculinity. All men are the same, all men are bad. And I get it, that's just from one character's perspective, but the way the film was made, it was almost like it was supposed to be subtle when it actually wasn't subtle. So that's what I didn't like about the movie. However, the movie was beautifully shot, amazingly acted, especially by Jessie Buckley. So there's so much going for the film, looks wise, aesthetic wise. It's just the message in the movie for me that didn't quite work. Obviously, I'm a man, so it's against men. So ultimately, it's a film that doesn't really work well for me. But I can see that there are some people who do like the movie. Some men do like the movie. A lot of women like the movie, and that's absolutely fine. And I can get why. I think when the film did come out, Jessie Buckley was my favourite actress, or my favourite performance of 2022. So there was so much that I liked about the movie. Ultimately though, it was just the message that didn't do it for me.
How was my life? What's so little to you?
And when I say the message didn't do it for me, the way that I saw the movie was the way that I thought the message went. The way the intention was by Alex Garland could have been completely different, but this is just my interpretation. This is just my explanation of the end of the movie. And just to wrap it all up, it was a man giving birth to himself over and over again, because all men are the same. They'll give birth to the same kids. They'll grow up to be like their fathers. They'll do the same. They'll treat women with disrespect. They'll have children, and the cycle will continue. That's the way I see it. But obviously, this is just in the mind of Harper. She's just dealing with that grief of what happened with her husband. Her husband was obviously not a nice man, because he was the one who was putting pressure on her not to divorce him. And that's not the way you do it. If she genuinely doesn't feel anything for him anymore, regardless of what went on, then she has a right to end that relationship. And he shouldn't use something like, I'm going to kill myself, to make her not do that. So that was very abusive. That was a mentally abusive relationship. It does go on, but it doesn't just happen from one side. It can happen from the other side as well. Luckily, though, we don't see it from his point of view. For all we know that she was the bad person in that relationship, and throughout the journey of the movie, she is genuinely feeling the guilt, which is why we're seeing all these metaphors throughout the film, because she is genuinely guilty. But at the end of the day, we don't know who was the bad person or the good person. We're only seeing it from Harper's point of view. It would be interesting if we did see it from James's point of view, but we didn't. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? It is a very controversial subject because obviously there are some people on the left and the right of it, etc. So be nice in the comments section. Let me know what you thought of the movie, first of all. Let me know what you thought happened at the end of the movie. Does my ending explain make it easier for you or way more confused? As always, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!